South Africa, well, they are World Test champions. We will review the game from last week at Lords between Australia and South Africa, plus India and England unfolding day 3 as we speak. We'll look back to Queensland taking game 2 of State of Origin in front of a packed house there in Perth. NBA Finals, we've got a game 7. How good the Pacers and Thunder will play out in winner takes all in OKC tomorrow morning. John Jones, arguably the GOAT of MMA, announced his retirement today. We'll talk Canadian GP. We'll talk all things sport in the last couple of weeks. This is On The Esky, sports podcast. We like our Aussie sport. We like our US and world sport. On YouTube, we have timestamps so you can skip to the ones that you like or just check out the whole thing. We do have socials, so check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and X. And if this is your first time coming across this podcast on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We like to start this show by shouting a metaphorical beer to a person, team, country, something.
Horse.
Horse, that's right. That's happened in the last couple of weeks to commemorate some sort of sporting achievement. Shauno, the man on my left, how are you? And who are you shouting a beer this week?
I'm going to go with the Florida Panthers, following up from last week. They have now officially won the Stanley Cup for the second time in a row. Winning 5-1 in Game 6. So as I said, it's the second time in a row. They've been there in the last 3 years and, of course, lost in the first year. They've been in the league since 93. So, this is their first big run in the Stanley Cup. And, they're kind of starting to build that dynasty with the repeat, and then they'll have to try for the treble, etc. But it was good to see that play out in the hockey. And, the Florida Panthers have won, and hosts will hoist the Stanley Cup for this season.
Yeah, Edmonton Oilers bridesmaid 2 years in a row. So this is a run back of last year's Stanley Cup, and poor Edmonton go empty-handed again. And we're seeing a bit of a Florida dynasty, not just with them, but I think 5 of the last 6 Stanley Cups have gone to the Sunshine State there in the US, with the Tampa Bay Lightning being very strong beforehand, and also saw Vegas Golden Knights win a few years ago too. So the expansion team's doing well in ice hockey.
Yeah, the no state taxes, etc.
Yeah, that probably entices some players to go down to Florida. I can't imagine too many of those Florida players born and bred in Florida.
Yeah, there's plenty of snow and ice in Florida.
One maybe not.
No, both, definitely.
Well, congratulations, Florida Panthers. Add one more beer to your bar tab. I'm sure you've had plenty in this last week. Monks, man on my right, also a bit of Florida connection there with it, rocking the Tampa Bay Bucks hoodie there. But you've got a round ball themed shout of beer here. Who have you got, mate?
Yeah. So the other club that I follow, I'm going to shout Florian Wirtz a beer this week. He signed with Liverpool a week ago for a whopping $156 million. That's Australian AUD there. It's a massive deal for him and for Liverpool. So coming across from Bayer Leverkusen, having 140 appearances there with 35 goals, so just adding another attacking midfielder to our champion or premiership league team.
That's right. The rich are getting richer here.
Rich are getting richer.
It's the biggest EPL transfer fee ever. 22-year-old, sort of integral in Bayer Leverkusen, winning the Bundesliga 2 seasons ago and ending that run of 10, I think it was, in a row for Bayern Munich. And he's only 22 and he's pretty highly touted, as you can imagine. They're happy to drop that kind of money on him. So it'll be interesting.
Once in a generation, once in a century.
Once in a century, they were saying.
Once in a century.
Yeah, so according to that video that we're just watching on YouTube, a more prestigious talent than Messi or Ronaldo. I'll believe it when we see it, but certainly a very, very good player. And will
complain.
Be scoring and setting up goals for Liverpool as well as Germany in the next 10 to 15 years, I'd say.
That's it.
I'm going to shout a beer to JJ Spawn. The shout of beers that we've had the last or today, all guys that have probably had a fair few beers recently. JJ Spawn, he won the US Open at Oakmont Country Club Sunday just gone. This was just his second ever tour win, and it was pretty tough conditions out there. So lightning fast greens, very deep rough, and then throw in some horrid weather on Championship Sunday, and it was pretty much survival of the fittest out there, just trying not to make mistakes. He was the only player to go under par. He did it on 18, sinking that monster birdie putt to finish 1 under and go 2 strokes ahead of Scotland's Robert McIntyre to win just his second tour event, and he's got a golf major to his name. So well done, JJ Spawn. Enjoy your beer courtesy of the Esky, and enjoy being in the top 10 in the world golf rankings. He shot up from rank 25th to rank 8th. So JJ Spawn, a major winner. We do Mop of the Week. This is usually, something funny that's happened, something dumb that's happened, something shit that's happened. Our Mop 2 weeks ago was the Miami Marlins in the Major League Baseball. They're getting poor crowds. We got duped by some fake news. It happens in 2025, scrolling through the news feed. Don't believe what you see all the time,
That's it.
Trump, Iran, there's some stuff going on. I don't know. Do your own research. We didn't do our own research. We read a thing that said that there was 137 people at Miami Marlins game a few weeks ago.
Versus the Rockies?
Few more than that. It was about 6,000.
Yeah, 6,300 and something, I think, from memory, but yes.
It was an ordinary crowd, and I think those images from either very early in the game or very late in the game did look like there was probably less than 1,000 people in there. But a bit of accountability here on the Esky. We're going to give ourselves a mop to mop up the mess that we made reporting fake news.
I'm off for one podcast and it all went down.
Yeah. We didn't have the fact checking.
We're getting flagged for misinformation. We're getting kicked off YouTube.
There's the community notes.
Community notes, check the notes, do your own research. Miami Marlins.
Yeah, to our credit, they are having atrocious crowd attendance.
Yeah, they're averaging 11,000. So I was looking at the list. I think they're about 28th on the list for average attendance this year. Yeah. The Dodgers are averaging about 55,000 per. For comparison, there. So they're doing pretty ordinary. They're just not doing 137 people bad.
Yeah. To see baseball Jesus started pitching again.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
First time back.
Coming back off a shoulder injury?
The Tommy John surgery.
MCL in the elbow.
Yeah. So first time since 2023, I think he's pitched.
I don't think it was in the same game, but he also got hit by the pitcher.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they hit, what's his name? Fernando Tatis, I think it is.
Something like that.
Big baseball guys here.
Yeah.
Well, the two biggest stars in baseball essentially playing off against each other. Biggest money men. Yeah, they hit him, and so they returned the favour and hit Shohei in the legs.
Yeah.
Well, good to see him back pitching, and we'll keep an eye a little bit on that season as it unfolds.
World Series are a bit of a while away.
Let's go over to a summer sport that we sort of know a little bit about. Yes, unfortunately for us cricket fans down under, we have actually lost a final out of a major world cricket tournament, losing to South Africa last week in the World Test Championship at Lords. Maybe went into it a little bit cocky. We're looking at the South African team. We said the batsmen didn't really bother us too much. Certainly off their first innings, we were pretty accurate there. But Aiden Markram, we'll get to him in a second, definitely the thorn in our side. We made 212 in the first innings, maybe a little bit unders, but Kasigo Rabada's pretty good, 5 for 51. What do we make of our batting there? Labuschagne opened, didn't saw off a few, but
saw off a lot of rocks, didn't make any
didn't
runs.
Make too many.
Uzi didn't make too many. Okay, it kind of like Steve Smith and Webster was the core part of it, and throwing a bit of the bowlers as well, up and out, but it was. The rest of the batsmen really didn't score well enough to mention, unfortunately. Yeah,
Green across 2 innings had 4 and 0. Head missed out both times. I think he had 11 and 9. Smith and Webster made runs in the first innings, 72 for the slug, 66 for smudge. And in the second innings, we really got saved by our tail.
Carey a bit too.
Yeah, so 58 not for Mitchell Starc, 43 for Alex Carey. Only 2 of the top 6 in double digits. Credit to the South African bowling. We did, and credit to us in the preview. We said, well, if anything's to be a bit worried about, if the ball's hooping around a little bit, which there was a bit of swing, although there wasn't full of landmines in the deck. It didn't seem to be a horrendous deck. Kasega Rabada is really, really good.
Yeah. And there was probably a little bit more movement early on, especially when the ball was, say, a little slightly bit harder. But, yeah, as the game wore on, the pitch basically took all of that away and it just died, and then all pace and bounce just evaporated.
Rabada 5 for 51 in the first innings, 4 for 59 in the second, finished the match with 9 for 110. Our captain Blue Eyes pretty handy with the rock in the first innings too. 6 for 28 for Pat Cummins. We really had him on toast, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And it was Aiden Markram that off the back of Rabada, I should say, with the ball, steered them to victory, making 136 off 207 rocks. They made 5 for 282. You would have loved to have 300, but the way that Markham's batting, 300 probably not enough either. So credit where credit's due.
I think it was kind of evident when Starkey just started just hitting runs and they've flown freely and they were just in a nice rhythm. You're like, there wasn't really a sense that the bowlers had an upper hand, and it kind of then flowed into the Australian innings as well, where it was, a bit tough. I think, it's going to be hard to criticise Steve Smith and say if he takes Bavuma there at 3 for 80, it's a much different game than where they went on to and they put on a big partnership, 150, I think, almost between them.
Mm-hmm. So, it was 2 for 70 when Bavuma come to the crease, 3 for 217. Quick maths, call it 150.
Yeah, I think that by that point the game was, very much struggling. It was over at that point as they come back. But a credit, I think, the other big decision was, Bavuma winning the toss and electing to bowl first. I guess they read the situation right to like, hey, yes, we might struggle early. Let's see if we can get wickets early, but let's bat last and hope that to that point, the pitch has died and we'll be able to score a bit more freely. And that's what happened. So,
pretty dominant era for South African sport at the moment. They're back-to-back rugby champs. Now have a World Test Championship to their name. We'll see how they go moving forward in this in a cricketing sense. That bowling attack is as good as anyone's.
Yeah, exactly.
I think. Yeah,
and if they can match it with some batting prowess, then they'll be up there in the upper echelons of the cricket teams, the top tier, and be a tough out anytime.
Steve Smith did have that compound fracture of his pinky finger. It was pretty nasty looking gear there in the slow motion. He's actually going to miss the first test in Barbados starting Wednesday, and the axe did swing. We've speculated about it for months and months. Marnus Labuschagne had the proverbial monkey on his back. It was probably not the time to throw Sam Consis to the Wolves in a World Test Championship. They probably had maybe had a chat with Marnus and said, look, we're going to open with you and here's your chance to really, cement that spot because we've got some young talent, nipping at your heels. And Marnus finally gets dropped for the first test.
Yeah, I don't think he was overly bad in the World Test. Like
soft some rocks.
Soft rocks. Like, yes, he didn't get any big scores, but for an opener, he was there at the 20 over mark is kind of where you want to kind of get to, is seeing off the hard part of the ball to kind of protect his other guy, the guys coming in. So I don't think he did a terrible job. And this is why I put the axe in the quotation marks, because we had talked about, hey, if you're going to do anything for the Ashes upcoming, use the West Indies tour to get some these younger fellas. And they picked the exact two guys we had mentioned, which was Inglis and Consis. Like, they've been on the fringes, they've been in and out of the team. If you're going to give them an opportunity to actually get experience, a series against West Indies is a good time as any to be able to do that. Yes, you'd probably want Marnus in a bit more form, but maybe he misses the first game and they rotate.
Exactly, he might get a chance over there in the Caribbean.
Yeah, which is also the talk with Sean Abbott there as well. Like, he's been added to the squad, he's ready to go, and there's probably going, and I put it again in quotation marks, some sort of rotation or rest. You would think for the top four bowlers, like one of the guys might switch out in one of these tests to then also, give some of these young guys an opportunity to actually, again, experience, play a quality test series against West Indies, see who's good and see who's available for the Ashes upcoming.
I was going to ask, not that you can really point out to one specific thing for Australia, but you talk about not sending Qantas to the Wolves. Did we bring Cam Green back into the squad too early?
I think his form in the county, he scored 3 centuries, I think, in county cricket in England, and he's come back from his injury. He looked good. Whether some nerves there or they just had the right plan, I don't know. Just it was unfortunate. It's probably the main thing.
Yeah, I think he had 2 failures in the test clearly, but I think he had to get picked. I think when we're talking about locks and picking the team, Cam Green was all a lock for all of us. I'm just scrolling back in a group chat because I think
on recent form, he scored the most runs out of anyone. So
I don't actually have the list, but he made 3 county tons from his 5 matches for Gloucestershire, batting at 5, interestingly. So
that's the other
thing.
question.
They batted
as well,
him 3, which might have been a bit interesting.
We often bats 3 for WA, but over in England, probably doesn't have a whole lot of experience batting 3.
Yeah.
And as we were saying in the summertime when Khawaja was getting boomered, I think Greeny just got rebarded. I think essentially. I think he'll still be there, whether it's at 3, whether it's at 4 for this West Indies tour.
Definitely. He's still super young. You're invested in him, so
yeah. The question also with Greeny is when he's not bowling, does that mean that does he have to be a 3 or 4, or is there room for wiggle? I suppose with Bo Webster in the side batting at 6, Heads, going so good at 5, really the only places that you can back Greeny are 3 or 4. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how this team lines up 1 through 11 come Wednesday for the Barbados game. You imagine Constance joins Khawaja at the top, and then where does Inglis might bat 3.
Yep.
Inglis might bat 3, Cam might bat 4, Head, Webster, and then probably Carey in the bowlers, I'd imagine.
Yep.
But we'll know in a few nights' time.
This West Indies squad, do they have Joseph in it?
Yeah, I think he is in there. Alzari Joseph, the guy that gave us all kinds of headaches up at the Gabba about 18 months ago.
Raheem the Dream?
Yeah, didn't quite make it. The big fella didn't quite make their squad. Big Rakeem Cornwell. It's only 18 months ago where we lost a test to the West Indies on home soil. So don't think the boys will be treating this lightly. They'll want to go over there and prove, hey, we actually are a lot better than the West Indies and we want to win this series 3-zip. Yep. And yes, maybe we are, we're going without our generational batting talent in Steve Smith and, maybe we're tweaking a few things trying to get it right for the Ashes, but we're not treating these games lightly. It's test cricket. We're here to win.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah. It'll be Roston Chase that's skippering them. I imagine Shy Hope will get the gloves. Alzari Joseph and Jaden Seals will probably have the ball. That's Shamar Joseph's there too. Craig Braithwaite at the top. And then other than that, I'm not exactly sure how they'll line up 1 through 11. Should we talk about some India-England?
Yes, the other big series going on.
Yeah, kicked off a couple of nights ago there at Headingley. The English summer of Test cricket is officially underway, and it's a new look sort of England side.
New look Indian side as well, you'd say.
Actually very true, very true. So start with England first. Their bowling lineup, in the post-Anderson, Broad and, Archer still unavailable era, looks a bit unders for mine. When Chris Wokes is your spearhead at 35, who I was having a look at his record. I think he averages about 30 in Test cricket with the ball, which is definitely serviceable, but has really sort of taken advantage of his tests against Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Ireland, and has never really been dominant against India or Australia or South Africa.
Yeah.
And then you've got this Tung and this Cass blokes who, until the Indian tail came out, were looking pretty ordinary.
Yes.
Did you see that review? That was, I think it was Tung that bowled it. It was probably missing about 4 leg stumps, I reckon. Hit low. The batsman was moving all over the place to the lefty and up there with one of the worst reviews I've ever seen in Test cricket.
They just needed a breather, bro.
Yeah, maybe. They might have needed to slow the bleeding because the Indian top order, other than Sai Sudhasan, I think it was on debut there at 3, all were chipping in with 3 blokes making tons. YB Jaiswal, we saw how good a cricketer he is.
Who's captain for this Indian squad?
Shubman Gill.
Shubman?
Yeah, so Bumrah is being load managed.
Yep.
They're aiming for him to play 3 of the 5 tests. Okay. So coming off a back surgery. So the timing of that was pretty much after Australia.
Yep.
Trying to get him right for the IPL. Has played in the IPL. Obviously, T20 cricket is different to the demands of Test cricket.
Yep.
And it's looking like he's going to play tests 1, 3, and 5.
Okay.
And then they're like, well, we can't have chopping and changing. Gil, you're our man moving forward. And
very interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Shubman goes from a captaincy perspective.
Yeah, it's not like
with the bat, he's gone pretty good in the first innings, made 147.
And I thought it was an interesting choice because Shubman hadn't exactly been holding down a top spot there. He's of recent form, so.
It is interesting. I thought Punt might.
I thought there's a lot of talk about him being heir apparent for a long time, but then again, he himself was only kind of coming back into the team after his long layoff and recovery. So
he seems too crazy to be a captain. But
that's
just the way that he bats. I don't know. Tactically, he might be great. It's always keepers get to see the game pretty well. He made a 134 and did one of the best. Front cartwheel round off, whatever Roy and HG would have said, a battered sav, if you will. That's a shout to Sydney 2000 chat there. You don't see that from too many cricketers, that's for sure. And the way that he brought up his 100 was the most Rishabh Pant thing ever. On 99, was sort of poking it around a little bit, and then spinner come on. He's going, fuck this. Cow corner, hit it with one hand, and it went for 6. And then he sort of unleashed a little bit. So 3 centuries up the top there. So Monk's got the stuff up there for Rishabh. 700s for Rishabh Pant in Test cricket. That goes past MS Dhoni. So that in itself is pretty incredible. So that's the most by an Indian keeper, and he's still quite young. And 3 for him in England. So loves batting over there in the English conditions. Gill's 147. Second highest by an Indian batter on captaincy debut. That goes back to 1951. So well done, Shubman Gill. And YB Jaiswal, geez, I think we're going to just have to get used to him scoring a lot of runs. Having said that, big collapse. Big collapse. Karan Nair got his first gig, I think, in 8 years. Had the triple 100 8 years ago. I think he's made about 370 test runs total. So nearly all of it come from one knock. He goes for naught. Jadeja doesn't make much. And all of a sudden they lose 7 for 41 and England are back in the game.
No, none of the usual tail wag.
Yeah, I suppose their tail is kind of a little exposed with Bumrah at 9. So Bumrah 9, Siraj 10, Krishna 11. But you're that like above them, Jadeja and the Lord can pretty handy with the bat there. So yeah, they went from what were they? They were 3 for thanks there, Monks. So they were 3 for 430 and then all out 471. They lost 7 for 41. I think Josh Tongue, after one of the world's worst reviews earlier in the game, I think he took 4 for 8 towards the end there to get England a fighting chance. I think their best bowling performance was actually the skipper. I think Ben Stokes, his 4 for 66, was probably the best with the ball, looked most likely until Tongue cleaned up the tail.
Yep.
England go out there. They're in all kinds of strife early on with Zach Crawley going for 4. He got Bumrah. And then a handy partnership there between Ben Duckett and Ollie Pope. Ollie Pope making 100. And he had a bit of a monkey on his back as well. There's a lot of talk about this Jacob Bethel for England, and he's sort of nipping at the heels. So Pope's, this 100 surely buys him some time.
Definitely.
And Ben Duckett's been pretty good in Test cricket over the last few years as well. He made 62. This should be live, so we could probably watch a little bit of this if we wanted to.
Did Root get out this morning then? Because they're 4 down at the moment.
Root is gone, 28. Brooke was at the crease overnight, I'm pretty sure. So he's 21 not. I think he was not overnight. Yep. So currently, currently Brooke and Stokes at the crease. So Pope has just got out, 4 for 238. We'll watch how that first session of day 3 unfolds as it happens.
Yep.
Anything else to add cricket-wise? There's a bit of cricket going on in America, isn't there?
Yeah, all the Major League Cricket's going,
yeah.
and I've seen some of the scores, and some of the Aussie boys doing well, of course. I think I saw the Stein hit up, got a ton. So
Maxie's going well over there, I think. The usual suspects.
yes.
But for us, obviously, as Aussie cricket fans, we've got Test cricket in 3 nights, so we'll look forward to that. Pretty ordinary viewing times, I think. We're pretty used to watching US sport. It's pretty similar to that. But first test from Barbados, not far away. Should we talk some rugby league?
Sure.
State of origin. Shauno, he's a Queenslander, man on my left, said that Ashley Klein needed to have some input in this game. Certainly had some input. We'll get to that in just a second. But Queensland did win, and I don't want to just go on a ref sooking rant. But Queensland win 26-24. Let's start beforehand with all the back and forth in the media, which the grub. I thought it started pretty innocuous. Aaron Woods said something to the effect of, "We need to see old grub Billy Slater, Billy Slater that would kick John Scandalis in the head and got 6 weeks at Leichhardt." Well, kind of tongue-in-cheek, I thought, although antagonistic perhaps. And Billy did not like it, did he?
No. Fights right back.
Yeah.
Well, it took a couple of days to form his message, and at his press conference, fired his shots back.
Well, I thought Aaron Woods was having a go at him, calling him a grub because he dropped DCE.
Yeah, that was part of it. That was part of it. I think he was calling him a grub, alluding to his playing career as well. And
it was kind of like he's showing his true colours by disrespecting DC a little bit.
And the whole week we're Queensland, we pick and stick. Oh wait, here's our most senior player, mate. Tactically, it seemed like he made a lot of choices tactically that a lot of people were questioning. A lot of people were saying Trent Liero playing 13 when you've got Carrigan and Tino and all these Ruben Cotter, these recognised 13s. What are you doing here? Looks like he knows what he's doing. Maybe
it worked out. I think the DC's decision was right in the end. DC's not getting any younger, but also his form had dropped off a cliff. And Manly been paying dreadful as a result. So there's not much you can do. He needs to win that game to even get him close. And I think they made the right choice, and making Munster captain, I think, ended up being also an excellent choice with the game he ended up having.
We had some question marks around Dearden wearing the 7. He's more of a running 6. His kicking game was pretty good in this one. Direct trial off his boot. And then I think he looked much more threatening with the 7 on his back than DCE, who's a bit more sort of field generally in game 1.
Yeah, I think the big difference was probably Harry Grant as well, because he did some kicking too, but he had a far better game than he did in game 1.
First game that Queensland have won with Harry Grant starting it with the 9 on his back, which I find that was wild too.
Yeah.
So Queensland make a few changes. Okay, so we mentioned DCE out, Dearden starts, Kurt Mann in, and actually had a try assist there. Kurt Mann, Bo Firma a little unlucky. Kurt Capel comes in, Jeremiah Nanite to the bench, and as aforementioned, Trent Liero starts with 13 on his back. New South Wales just the one change, a forced change with Mitch Barnett unfortunately doing his ACL in clubland. Stefano Etuakamano comes in, and Max King starts. Pretty ordinary conditions. It was very greasy, a lot of drop ball.
Rain like crazy.
New South Wales got off to a good start with that Brian Toto try, a bit of a scrappy type try. And then pretty much from about the 10th minute through to halftime, it was one-way traffic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You would have been half chub at that stage.
I think what I was most impressed about was the intensity. They didn't play anything like that in game 1. They were very much off that, and they really didn't have that kind of pressure, intensity, and kind of showed a bit more grit than I think they did. And I think Munster again kind of led a lot of it, and I think they played far better than they had at all. So I was quite impressed with that, and then I think that intensity, and then they kind of started to get a roll on over the New South Wales forwards, and then that just led to points. So I think that really helped.
Hammer's pretty good at Origin. They moved him to the wing. So him and Val Holmes did a swap, and he was using his speed to finish off a few of those used his speed to finish off one, and used his jumping ability to jump straight over Brian To'o to score that second one.
They've definitely trying to target To'o with the size difference.
It's been a bit of a target. Defensively, To'o, he's a little short, but with the ball in his hand, he scored a hattie in this one.
Yeah, exactly. And his run meters, he was, I think, top meter eater for New South Wales again. So
I still think he's one of the best wingers in the NRL.
Yeah, he's just got like a weird body type in this day and age for a winger.
A lot of Matt Utai, about him. To'o, to his credit, is probably taller than Utai, but there's not a lot of wingers these days under 6 foot getting around. We're really seeing these tall, rangy, big wingers.
Most guys like his size are either playing like hooker or they put on a bit more size and playing in second row. So he's an enigma out there on the wing.
Cam Munster did score the Storm connection in full flight there. The third try for Queensland. That was Grant just taking on a little dummy half run and then had Money on his inside. And then the Cleary try got disallowed for obstruction. And I reckon that would have been a real kick in the teeth for New South Wales, because up the other end, 2 minutes later, Kurt Capewell goes in. Bit of chaos footy, and Kurt Mann sort of throws it up and not really looking, and Capewell's there and falls over, and all of a sudden it's 26-6 at halftime, and you're thinking, Jesus Christ, like what's going on here? New South Wales were big favourites to win this game. We're down 20 points.
Penrith likes big score. Oh, Penrith. True. Perth likes big scores in recent memory from the games played there previously. So, you saw a bit of that coming in.
What did we think about the penalty count? We were sort of joking about it before. It was 8-0 at halftime. It finished 10-2. Do you think Ashley Klein determined the outcome of this game, or did New South Wales just need to show more discipline?
Probably a bit of both. I've been bitching about Ashley Klein for 2 years, so
it went your way this time.
He finally went our way after being, giving New South Wales advantage in most games. So
here we go.
I'm happy to take it. So
I think, I'm sort of fence sitting here as well. I don't know what world 8-0 I don't think we were 8 times less disciplined than Queensland were in the first half. Having said that, the Lomax elbow and the Luai wasn't an eye gouge, was his hand shouldn't
I don't think they penalised that. I think they played on for that, but they penalised the Lomax elbow, definitely.
They could both end up in the bin.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and we know how New South Wales defends with 12 men. Prior to this game, there was 8 of the last 10 tries for Queensland had been when New South Wales was a man down. So they have to fix up their discipline for game 3. We can't just bitch about refereeing as New South Wales fans if we're going to be undisciplined. I think Matty Johns was saying it on his podcast.
It's like, some of those penalties are probably deserved and based on the discipline. So
control what you can control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you got to say Ashley Klein does like getting involved. He's averaging about 20 odd involvements in the last 4 games. So he's definitely I think that's the question, is like, how much involvement do you want Ashley Klein in an Origin match versus how much of that stuff do you let go?
I think that's it. It's the fact that it was an Origin match. It seemed like a pretty high penalty count.
We've had this discussion, I think, here as well. Should Origin be refereed differently? Or are the rules the rules? And should he referee it like he does for Clubland? Yeah. I think most footy fans will say, well, it's Origin, keep the whistle in your pocket, but I don't know what precedent that sets.
My favourite thing was just seeing the New South Welshmen bitching this week about how he's got to go, unfair penalty count. But it's almost the exact same for the last 2 Queensland games. It's just in reverse. So I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Regardless, they did their best to try and come back. And if there's one thing as well that we want to point to that did lose New South Wales this game, was goal kicking. So 5 tries to 4. New South Wales actually outscored Queensland from a try perspective, but the conversions were a real issue. So Brian To'o goes over just after halftime, playing outside of Latrell Mitchell. Pretty handy. We'll get to Alex Johnson in just a second. Lomax misses from the left touch line. That was a hard kick. Stephen Crichton, how good is he? Close to the line, just run through about 3 defenders. Lomax unfortunately hits the upright. It's a game of inches. If that goes in, we're looking at golden point. To'o goes in for his hattie, burrowing through. Again, close to the line, pretty hard to stop him. Lomax misses another tough kick, left touchline, and then Angus Crichton goes in off a nice little Luai grubber, and Lomax converts that one. That's so 26-24 at that stage. All the momentum in the last 10 minutes is going towards the Blues. I think I was really believing,
Yeah, they were getting there.
Yeah, I think a lot of Queensland fans would have
4 minutes.
check the Heath Grundys on them, because I reckon there might have been a few stains, but yeah, Queensland, to their credit, held on. Some really gritty goal line defense. You use that word grit about the first half. I think some of that goal line defence at the end when New South Wales were
they had
like
to. I think they had 5 errors in their own half, turning the ball over, and then I think it was a 5-2 penalty count in the second half in New South Wales' favour. They got a lot more ball and good position, so they could, definitely were forcing the fact and trying to get back into this game. So, it was a good kind of competitive end to it. I think Queensland played terrible in the second half with the amount of turnovers they had, and you just had to worry. But, maybe that's part of the conditions. It was pissing down rain, so they managed to hold on just and get the win in this one. So, and
we get a decider. Yeah, the fix is in. Deciders make money.
There's that too. And it's going to be in New South Wales. So, I think they've confirmed Ashley Klein's going to be the ref. His metrics across all the other games is fine. So, no amount of New South Wales bitching to get rid of him has amounted to anything. So, he'll continue to be there. But, he doesn't love Queensland. So, we'll see how that goes.
Did you think Munster was your best player?
I thought Kurt Catewell actually was probably for a guy that came in.
Yeah, he played well.
I think he defended and tackled amazingly, but statistically that might not show up on the scorecard. I think Munster just did enough to kind of steer them around and give them the right direction that they needed in key moments. So
Catewell had 37 tackles, 2 missed coming on. Oh no, he started, didn't he? Yeah, so pretty good effort there. I think Harry Grant.
I think he played the whole game, didn't he? He played all 80.
We should have some minutes.
I'm actually interested to see how many minutes Harry played as well.
I think it was the very first one.
Holy.
Well,
I'll find. Sorry, this is Noe Monk's doing this.
Full game, 80 minutes. Yep.
Yeah. Harry as well?
Harry, yep.
Yeah, which is very interesting. I was interested to see how he'd go 80 in an Origin game, and I think he played excellent. Most tackles there, 55 there for Queensland. So. Harry could have also potentially got it. It was probably the best game.
Yeah, I think he was pretty good. I thought Dearden was pretty good.
Yeah.
Hammer scoring the double.
Yep.
It's interesting, though. We can't say someone single-handedly put Queensland on his back and won him that game, but we can definitely say that goal kicking, discipline, refereeing,
I think
lots of other things.
I think combination.
Well,
they were overall better than they were in game one.
Yeah,
and I think maybe that intensity kind of pushed over New South Wales forwards, and maybe the forward pack. Max King didn't have his best game. There's been some calls to change the forward pack for New South Wales, and we talked about
Stefano had a big error.
Yeah, and we talked about how they could essentially pick another's whole second Origin team and how that kind of fit in. So
that's actually a nice little segue into round 16, because West Tigers did play Canberra Friday night, and Terrell May again
in a losing effort, but played well.
This is flogging a dead horse, because clearly it's got nothing to do with his numbers.
No, they're not going to pick him.
But this is what his numbers were Friday night: 37 tackles, 0 missed, 182 run meters, 2 tackle busts, 3 offloads. He's doing this week in, week out. I would love to see him coming off the bench for the New South Wales Blues in Game 3. But let's see how that team gets announced in a week's time. Canberra, to their credit, they're just finding ways to win this year, aren't they? The faders are a thing of the past, it seems. A lot of it has to do with their completion rate. So completing 84% since March. They've on a 10-1 run in that time. The only loss they had was that sort of capitulation against the Bulldogs.
Yep.
And they completed 82% on Friday night.
Yeah, they did give West everything to
the last 20 minutes.
Play for, because it was 16-0 at half time, and it was all West in the second half. But
that's what I'm saying. It's these games where they normally used to roll over and would have a classic fade.
They've got a bit more grit to them.
They're managing to hold on.
Yeah.
Wild take, I think they might be minor premiers.
Have you seen their run home, dude?
Yeah, the run home. They've got 2 buys coming up. They've got to play the Tigers again, Dragons twice, Knights twice, Eels, and that might be it.
That's like
they play 2 top 8 teams.
He's got 3 buys in a row there.
Newcastle Dragons bye.
Dragons bye, and then I think they've got Eels after that.
Yeah. Well, I'll just read it out. So from next week, they're at Newcastle, home against the Dragons, bye, home against the Eels, home against the Knights, away at the Dragons, home against Manly. So they still haven't played a top 8 team. They have a bye. The next time they play a current top 8 team is they play Penrith, 22nd of August. Then they play West, and they finish with the Dolphins. So currently, they're only 2 top 8 teams that they play. Penrith in round 25 and the Dolphins in round 27. I don't know if you can give them the minor premiership because the Bulldogs going pretty good. But
no, I'm just saying my hot take based on that and the buys is just like they could very well end up being minor premiers.
Yep.
Be classic Raiders to lose most of those games.
The way they're playing, I can't see them losing most.
But they shouldn't. Like with their current form, they shouldn't. And they've got a really good run home against teams that have been struggling. So yeah, I think they could be lock for top 4. I think, and it's just like where will they finish? 100%. And it could be as high as 1, considering they're 2 at the moment, aren't they?
I think the top 4 is locked because there's a 6-point gap between 4th and 5th with Cronulla losing today. So as it finishes, Canterbury's 28 points, Canberra's 26, Melbourne and the Warriors are 24 apiece, and then you have 6-point drop down to Brisbane in 5th. So it's maybe just what order is the top 4 going to finish. Yep. Shout out to Jed Stewart, son of Ricky. Bit taller than his old man, isn't he?
Yep.
Good 6 inches taller. He's pretty big as well. So meat pie on debut. I think there was about a full bay of Jed Stewart supporters, family, friends, shoe-ins, etc. Yeah. Getting him some support, and he definitely played well. And hopefully we see him play a fair bit for the team that his dad led to some premierships back in the early 90s. Penrith, mate, they're an enigma, aren't they? They have all their talent, and they
did everyone back up? Did everyone back up?
0. So what I'm saying is when they have all their talent, they're dropping games that they shouldn't, and they had 0 out of 5. So Edwards, To'o, Cleary, Yo, Martin did not play this game. Brad Schneider plays halfback and plays exceptionally well, and they win in New Zealand.
We didn't cover it. Nathan Cleary. The whole fact that he's playing unders. He was all strapped up for New South Wales. Barely didn't kick in the first half. Didn't take any goal kicks. Again, points. And then only kicked a little bit in the second half. But I wonder how unders he's been this season. Like how much have they been hiding potential hamstring injuries?
I think it's a groin. Is what they've said. So he's had some recurrent hammies in the past, and then to have groin issues after hamstring issues is quite common. They work quite closely together. We're going to get a bit nerdy here on the Esky, but that's all right. Adductor magnus actually it helps your hamstrings work. Okay, it's one of your main adductor muscles, so he's probably overloaded the fuck out of his groin at the moment. He was wearing the protective compression kind of gear there, and people were speculating, is it hammy, is it quad, is it groin? And I think he'll be fine for game 3, but I think he's going to have some serious rehab before then.
But I wonder if he's been at 80% for a whole season, year, and maybe that's playing as part of why Penrith have been struggling and why, they get a full, young, healthy guys out there and then they red hot again. So, I'd be interested to see how that team performs over the next, 8 weeks as the next Origin game comes and then those guys kind of settle back into making a finals run.
You watch them just get better and better, and by the end of the season,
pushing in the top 4, closing that 6-point gap.
I reckon I might try and
They're
find.
At 6 now, aren't they?
They're up to 6th. I'm just going to try and find some futures here. So they're into $13 to win which is fifth, ahead of the Warriors. So compare that to a month ago where they were running dead last. Pretty impressive there. There's a reason why they're 4-peat. And incumbents at the moment.
Is a close comp though as well. It was win string a couple games together and move quickly up into the top 8.
Yeah, we'll talk about how close it is in just a second when we get to the Bronx and Sharks from today. Dolphins go over to Perth and lose to Newcastle. Bit of a shock there. Bradman Best coming back into the side.
Were they up 20 points in that game too?
No, I don't think it was 20, but they had a handy lead. Yeah, I don't think it was 20-0. I'm pretty sure they had a fair lead. Bradman, first game back from his hammy, had 2 tries, 180 run meters 5 tackle busts. For the Finns, unfortunately, it looks like Jack Bostock's done an ACL. I don't know if that's been confirmed today, but non-contact mechanism in a brace after the game didn't look good.
Yeah, look, I think NRL physio had it as like it's about as clear an ACL mechanism as it looks like. So, I feel for the young fella, but that's unfortunate also for the Finns.
Stranger things have happened with knees, but he'll be sweating on that MRI. I think their hands-on testing is pretty accurate as well. So, wishing him all the best. He scored 4 the week before for the Cowboys, and we're talking about the tall, strong, rangy winger. He definitely fits that mould. So, all the best.
The Cowboys
with
had
your
90
rehab.
put on them in the last 2 weeks. Did they get hammered the week before as well?
Yeah, the Cowboys are conceding.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we'll get to them for today's games. We've got to talk about South and Melbourne first. So Melbourne win a pretty good game for the neutral viewer in this one, 25-24. So this is the most head-to-heads between 2 coaches ever. Okay, so
Master and apprentice.
Yeah, master and apprentice, and the apprentice has become the master, it seems. So Wayne Bennett and Craig Bellamy meeting for the 44th time last night. That goes past Wayne Bennett and his old running mate in Tim Sheens. And Bellamy pretty much has every metric over him in terms of the head-to-head, including 14 consecutive.
Look at the Storm in the last 15 years.
Yeah. So you could argue, I suppose, that Bennett's tried to take on a few challenging jobs.
Yes.
And
he's moved around more times than
exactly. And, Craig's just stayed on his good wicket and keeps putting him away. It was 14 consecutive wins for Bellamy over Bennett-coached teams going into last game. So I think that's up to 15 now. And I think his overall record now is 34-10 against his old boss. Very good. Yeah, definitely has the bragging rights over the super coach Wayne Bennett. This was a good game. Alex Johnston, we've been doing a bit of try tracking for him, and is he going to get Ken Irvine? Fucking last night didn't do him any harm. He scored 4 last night. So that's career tries 203, 204, 205, 206 to go within 6 of Ken Irvine's record. We're looking at the games played pre-show. I think Ken Irvine was 236, and I think Johnson overnight went to 234, so nearly identical in terms of games played.
Did you also say or show that graphic in
hat-tricks,
or
equaled
most?
So that's
Ken and
I think Frank Burge was in there.
Burge as well.
Yeah. So 16 hatties for AJ. Playing outside Latrell definitely plays into that. But
I think we've looked at when Latrell joined Souths and he's
trying to score
numbers.
Just go straight up.
But he was a big part of this game because he scored first, and then Storm actually got out and we had a good lead, and then he went bang, 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 basically in a 10-minute period, and got him right back in this game to force it into a golden point, I believe. And did Pappy kick the winner?
He did. They set it up well. Passed straight back to him. The South defenders just couldn't quite get to him. Pappy slots it, cool as a cucumber. Melbourne win. That's what good sides do, don't they?
Again, like Origin, another one where kicking your conversions just absolutely killed any chance of winning, I suppose.
Yeah, as good as Trell.
Was Latrell kicking it?
Yeah, and he was 2 from 5. So as good as he was, I think he had 4 try assists. I think every Johnson try was a Trell try assist. But if he was kicking a little bit better, they'd probably win that game. So nice point there, Monks. That was a 5-try-to-4 game with the Rabbitohs scoring more. Brisbane had a big comeback today against Cronulla. They win 34-28. Reynolds pretty instrumental there in the second half. They were down 28-12 and then just dominated the last 20 in some pretty ordinary conditions up there at Suncorp. That jumps them over the Sharks into 5th position on the ladder, and you alluded to how close the competition is. It is a bee's dick between 5th and 16th, so 4 points separate the Broncos in 5th down to, I think it's Parramatta in 16th position now. Broncos 18 points in 5th. We'll run through the ladder now while we've got it. So Sharks 6 on 18, Roosters 7 on 18, Panthers 8th with 17 points. Then the teams on 16 are Dolphins, Manly, Dragons, Cowboys on 15, Knights, Tigers, Rabbitohs all on 14 points. That's four points that separates 5th and 15th.
Yeah, and then what? Eels and
Eels, Titans. That hasn't been updated, I don't think, because the Eels have just beaten the Titans.
So they'll be on 14.
Yeah, so 5th to 16th, 4 points.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Roosters smacked the Cowboys today, 42-8. Marky Mark had a double in that one. The Cowboys are leaking some points. Let's have a look at the Cowboys over the last
Because they had
few
50
weeks.
burger last week, so that's 90.
Yeah, so they had 58 plus 42, that's 100.
Yep.
They've conceded 100 in the last 2 weeks and 38 the week before to the Storm. So last 3 weeks has been 138 conceded for the Cowboys. Todd Payton will be working on some defensive training, I think, this week.
Definitely.
I hope so.
And Spoon Bowl, did Parramatta confirm win that game?
Yeah, 36-20, they won that over the
Thank
time.
you.
So, before we move on, do you want me to do my Ashley Klein presentation? Because I prepped it.
What's your presentation, like class presentation?
Yeah,
Slideshow.
Show and tell.
A literal slideshow, yeah, I did. I actually prepped it for you. I just didn't find a good space to slide it in.
Go on.
I emailed it to you, Jimmy, if you want to put it on the B screen.
This is good. A
Ooh,
little bit of prep
tricky.
work here.
Yeah. So I'll switch that. There's Ashley Klein to talk to the man.
He's got a bit more hair in that photo, doesn't he?
All right.
Yeah,
So
Ashley. Wow, you've done some
that's the
some
rundown.
research here.
So that's he's been back since 2022. He's reffed 11 games. The record there sits at 6-5 in Queensland's favour over that time frame.
That's who won the games.
Who's won the games?
Yep.
Yes. So the key kind of things there, I've got all the penalties, set restarts. Unfortunately, NRL.com doesn't record set restarts. They could record ruck infringements.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
It doesn't go into the penalty count.
No, it doesn't go into the penalty count.
Correct.
But not every ruck infringement's a set restart, but not every set restart's a ruck infringement. Because they have the inside the 10 rule as well, which is a set restart. Okay. So I had to go through all the play-by-play to find all the set restarts.
How much have you watched to do this
Well, not all the
research?
games, but they have the list. They have the play. They
the
record
list.
the set restarts
Okay.
there. So it's
I'm
easy
with
enough to find.
Okay.
So in total, across all those 11 games, that's probably the key points. Let's go to the key points out of this. So the Klein advantage, as you will. Let's see how that looks on this. Yeah, good. Fit nicely. Klein advantage. So he's had a favourable penalty count to New South Wales 8 times to Queensland's 3 across those 11. Of those games, New South Wales have had 5 wins and they've had 4 of those wins came with Klein advantage. Of Queensland's 6 wins, they've only had twice where they had Klein's advantage in there. So a total of... I called it
AKIs.
AKIs, Ashley Klein involvements. I came up with my own statistics. The AKIs. Put the stats up on there. That's probably the main one. So a total of 101 AKIs to New South Wales versus Queensland's 84.
So 101 Ackies for New South Wales.
So that's a total of all the penalties, all the
84 Ackies
resets
for
across
Queensland.
11 games. What's interesting, that's 185 Ashley Klein involvements across 11 games.
Yep.
So he averages 17 times. He
Jesus.
blows his whistles in a game.
Okay.
In an Origin game.
In Origin.
Yeah.
Origin.
Following that, lopsided counts. So I did more of 2. So any that was within like 1 or 2 of a game, I thought that that's a pretty even call.
Yep.
So for lopsided counts, New South Wales have had 4, where it was more than that, and Queensland have only had 1, which was that last game. 3 of those lopsided. 3 of those 4 lopsided counts were actually in Queensland,
Wow.
which reverses the 30-year average where Queensland usually gets 3 penalties to go to them versus New South Wales 2. So, a big change in that. What's interesting, if you look at the last 4 there, he's actually getting worse. So he
In
that
terms
average
of being more lopsided.
no, well. Yes. The last 3 have been big lopsides. That one in 2023, which was in Queensland, where Queensland won that game 32-6. He had 7 advantage to New South Wales, a massive advantage, trying to get him back in the game, etc. But the main thing was the totals. So it was the last 4 games, 11-9, 9-13, 8-13, and 12-8 is 20 or more times he's involved. So he's actually, over his own average of 17 across the 11, the last 4 he's been over 20.
Can you bring that back up on the screen for the viewers?
I might have to actually, let's hide us for a second if I can. Boop. So you get that bottom section of where he's actually been worse. And 2 of those games, the last game of last year and the first game of this year was in Queensland, as I mentioned. And they both were New South Wales W's.
What happens if you take the set restarts out of it? Does it even things up at all? Because sometimes, when a team's defending on their line and they just keep giving away penalties on or not penalties. They keep giving away set restarts on purpose to keep defending their line. Can that swing this data, do you think?
Maybe. So I think the track of who had the advantage still holds. Like it was 10-2, 6-9, 6-9. So there's still advantage New South Wales. 9-7, which was advantage Queensland. So the set restarts really didn't average it out there. So 2-2 is equal. So the set restarts,
So the last time we actually had an equal penalty count was game 1 of last year, the Suoli send-off.
Yeah, which is also, if you look at the lowest, he only had 10 involvements in that game.
Because he'd already fucked the game.
The game was already fucked at that point. So he didn't.
No. I said that in jest. That should have been a send-off. It should have been a send-off.
But I think the point is like, I guess Queensland got so far up front, they just put the whistle away. So there's that point.
Refed it like an orange and should be refed.
Exactly. So, it's pretty interesting.
He is getting worse when you can look at it's not into anyone's favour overall. Like over the last few games, there's Queensland
just becoming a grumpy old man.
Yeah, real grumpy.
But in that, the advantage column, he says it's more blue than maroon.
That's the point that you were trying to make.
Well, that's my point. That's my final point. It was New South Wales can't win without Ashley Klein's help. So
come on the screen.
So everyone can see that.
Do you know what my takeaway from this is?
What?
The Queensland dynasty is all due to the other lopsided way of penalty counts. If Ashley Klein's going to New South Wales now, admittedly there's other refs who've been involved, but the Queensland dynasty was all the other way in the penalty count.
A lot of fire. I think do the data for the
I want to see that data.
But I think if we hold Billy Harrigan as the gold standard for Origin refs, I think
the game's changed too much since
there is that too. But I think
now it's the old grumpy man. The game's changed.
It has. It's completely different.
It is
faster. There's set restarts. There's only 8 interchanges. It's a different game.
I kind of think the purpose in you got to police the game, but I also think you've got to manage the niggle is probably the main thing. And yes, there was a lot of niggle in the last game. Like every time the game stopped, there was a bit of pushing and shoving. But
Marto and Tino.
Yeah, so I kind of think I do want to see probably let more stuff slide if possible. But I just use the low max elbow as a good example. It was do you let that slide maybe based on the level of niggle? Is probably get it. And if there's a lot of niggle, you got to call that. You got to shut that down because maybe that escalates. And I think it was Trent Lowe that got hit, and he kind of stayed down with that to try and hey, have a look at this. I've been elbowed. But if you let the game go on, you play on, they don't see the replay, and you just keep going. So that's kind of my point. Of where do you want the AKIs, the actual Ashley Klein involvements within the game?
Yeah. So I think that Lomax elbow was that perfect example of something. You let something slide in Origin, that probably would get pulled up.
Does that escalate it? And that's the managing the niggles kind of what I'm talking about. So
that's a good point, Monks. I think if that happened in the Spoon Bowl this evening between Parramatta and Gold Coast, I think Zach's sitting for 10 for that.
Yeah.
Well done on some good nuffy research there. I didn't probably appreciate how blue-centric actually normally is.
I've been bitching about it for the past 2 years.
You have been whinging.
So I've proved my point.
How many AKIs would we like to see in game 3?
Less than 10.
The average is 17.
Yeah.
But with set restarts, you're not going to see less than 10.
Yeah. But
that's a time management thing. I reckon.
Especially
late in the game.
Let's say if we saw less than 8 actual penalties, so if we're getting a penalty every 10 minutes. But again, this is what we want. It's just going to be how disciplined are these boys?
Yeah.
Wednesday's time.
I think the penalties are there to call. Yeah. It's just this thing is what do you let slide?
Yeah.
I think some of the set restarts for inside the 10, maybe you let one of those slide kind of thing. But how areas is if he's a metre off, I was but if he's sprinting off his line, he's 8 metres, but he's about to jump in the ruck. It was you're offside. I think that you got to work out where the slide is.
Let's
say more grey in the rugby league club.
Hopefully,
he kisses Queensland on the dick again, and we win game 3.
Hopefully, the referee's boss sees this this little presentation courtesy of the Esky.
Yes.
AKI, get it in the rugby league vernacular. In the other code of rugby, the Super Rugby, the Crusaders win again. We haven't watched a whole lot of Super Rugby, admittedly, over the year, but we'll
TV
mention
deals
it.
And such.
Yeah, TV deals and. Did you know there's one free-to-air game of Super Rugby per week? Apparently.
Really? On what station?
Gem, I want to say.
Yeah,
I want to
that probably
say.
makes sense.
Someone was telling me. He's like, there's one game a week. I was like, oh, there you go. That's news to me. Chiefs dominated all year. Crusaders win. So they just have a way with winning Super Rugby. Can you actually get the total of Super Rugby championships now for the Crusaders? They are head and shoulders above anyone else. The other thing that's happening in the rugby world is the British and Irish Lions tour is about to start. So
They play the Brumbies here in a
it's
week or
at a Wednesday night.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday
I think
night.
It'll be interesting to see what kind of crowd they get for that.
I know some of the Nuffies are going out. Old man's got tickets. So.
Well, it's every 12 years.
Yep.
So the Nuffies love this kind of shit. But they actually got stunned in their sort of farewell game back over in the Northern Hemisphere. They played in Dublin. They got done by the Pumas. So Argentina, 28-24, winning over the British and Irish Lions. Their first tour game is next weekend against the Force, and they're about a month away off their first test against the Wallabies. Yeah, thanks, Monks. Crusaders have 13 Super Rugby championships. The next closest are the Auckland Blues with 4. Then the Bulls, actually, the old South African team who aren't in there anymore since become Super Rugby Pacific with 3. Chiefs have 2, and then Reds, Brumbies have 2 as well, and then Reds, Tars, Highlanders, Hurricanes all have 1. So Crusaders and winning the Super Rugby, water is wet.
Yep.
All right, should we talk some Aussie rules footy?
Sure.
Round 15 kicked off Thursday night with Fremantle winning pretty handedly over the Bombers.
Next.
Next. 16-8, 104 to
Bombers
9-9-63. Yeah, Bombers going in the wrong direction, aren't they, Monks?
Yeah.
You catch much of this?
No, I don't think I did. I think I might have watched the start and then,
Turn it off.
wasn't very interested.
It's a tough ask, the 8-10 kickoff on a Thursday night. Obviously, over in the West, they're playing, just after knockoff time, but that starts getting pretty late.
It does.
Late finishes over here. I've got some statistics on the phone. Sarong had 35 and 2 goals. Luke Jackson, 21 disposals, 48 hitouts, 3 goals. Take your picks there for best on ground. A game that I watched a fair bit of this on Friday night. Was the whiteout there in Geelong, sort of taking a page out of the American sports. We see it in college football a lot. We definitely see it in the NBA finals with the jerseys behind us. Given a shirt or, something to wave around, all of the same colour. So they had a bit of a whiteout in celebrating Patrick Dangerfield's 350th AFL game. They also had Tyson Stengel's 100th. But the Brisbane Lions came and spoiled the party, didn't they, Sean?
Yep. Played pretty well.
Yeah.
Logan Morris kind of pushing up into the Coleman.
Mate, he has
5 this week. Did you get 5 last week?
5 last week, so 10 in the last 2 weeks. He's come into the top 10, I think, in the Coleman. I don't think he'll win the Coleman, but I think he'll finish maybe in the top 10.
Yep.
He's got 30 on the season, and he's only 20 years old. So for a key forward to, start clunking marks and kicking straight, before they turn 21, it's very, very promising. Definitely a different player to Joe Danaher. Yeah, he's only 193 centimetres, but that's on the shorter side for a key forward. So
kicking goals,
you need to be a good mark. You need to be able to kick straight. You need to be able to use your frame if you're slightly unders on your frame for a key forward, and he seems to be doing all that.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like the Lions, their strength hasn't been their forwards. Like their middles is what pushes it all the way up, and so they get opportunities, but they might be not have had the best scoring opportunities. And I feel like another young fella just to come through is how you kind of push to then repeat is kind of what I'm getting at.
100%.
Was their first win, I think, in Geelong since 2003.
Yeah.
So big. It's been a long time.
Wild scenes. I was looking at the old 2003 kind of meme kind of stuff. This is before YouTube. 2003, before the iPhone.
Yep.
What was it? I looked at the song. I think it's when the year that Into Club came out.
Yeah, okay.
The real Need for Speed Underground 2 type shit. Yeah. It's been a long time since the Lions have won down there. Spoil the party.
I think
Patrick Dangerfield.
The Lions socials also cooked them pretty well. It was like they're saying put up the white flag. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. The white flag was was for surrender. I
think-
they were all over him in this, weren't they?
Yes. I think you had Morris was there as 6, I think, on the goals. Equal 6.
Yes, equal 6.
With Jack Higgins.
Oh, you've got the
Yeah,
Coleman
with
list
Coleman,
scroll up
yeah.
there for us,
Jeremy's
mates.
at 48.
Yeah, so 8 ahead for Jezza there, ahead of Jesse Hogan, who's gone a touch cold by his lofty standards over the last few weeks. Jamie Ellett with 36, Ben King 4th with 35, Mitch Georgiades 33, and then Logan Morris is tied 6th with Jack the Tip Rat Higgins. So coming along very nicely is the young key forward for the Lions.
You want to talk about Carlton?
Yeah, we have to. So massive turnaround. It was it Anzac weekend, I think, where Carlton beat North Melbourne by 90 points, like kicked the shit out of them.
Yeah. I think you had West Coast into North Melbourne. You're like, yeah, we're finally righting the ship. And then they've won a couple of games in between that. But, yeah, then this is a different.
Well, we had kind of, as Carlton fans, highlighted this, soft run in the draw.
Yep.
We got that.
Glad to play them twice, etc.
Yeah, we had a tough, close win a few Sunday nights ago against Monks' Bombers. Won handedly in the West last weekend, but not a massive percentage booster.
Yep.
And then maybe a little bit of an ambush game here for North, paying about $4. And it was sort of neck and neck through the first quarter, and then it was one-way traffic, quarters 2 and 3. And then the Blues actually held North scoreless in the fourth quarter, and were doing their best to come back, but it was too little too late.
Yeah, made it look reasonable, but they were.
Yeah, 11 points was the margin in the end, but this game did not feel like an 11-point margin.
Yeah, did they score 40 points in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, Carlton come home pretty hard.
Yeah.
Kicking efficiency's been dreadful, and getting, converting from inside 50s has been pretty ordinary. Charlie Curnow kept goalless in this one. Big Harry Mackay didn't play. Luckily, Mitch McGovern clunked a few, but yeah, big loss for the Blues. And, you don't want to get too hyperbolic and say, oh, is that season done? But you look at the run upcoming and, they got to go away to the Adelaide Oval where they've never won since it's been refurbished to play Port Adelaide. And then I think they have some, I think I sent it in the chat.
Yeah, but also,
they have some hard games upcoming.
Yeah, but should you be playing finals if you can't beat North?
Collingwood, Brisbane. No, probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. And then you get all the sack Voss rhetoric coming out. I also think that's...
I've seen a lot of the sack 'em all, I think, has been the chant that's been pushing around. But, there's always been question about Voss's job. He was very heated, I think, at the three-quarter time. He really set a firework up their asses, and they played definitely better in the fourth. But it looked like he was getting stuck into everyone for doing a shit job. He looked like a tomato, honestly. He was that red in the face of getting stuck into him. So...
But the sack Voss rhetoric, if you're a Carlton fan, what does that achieve?
Yeah, statistically, he's their best coach in the last 10 years. He has a better wins percentage than anyone else.
And that's been the problem with the sort of revolving door of coaches. I think we've had 5 in the last 10 years.
Correct.
Mid-season, if they
Yeah, I think they kind of proved
it was a shocking effort.
The coach is probably not the problem.
Yeah, there's a problem with consistency. I think is a massive thing. There's a problem with playing 4 quarters. Is a massive thing for Carlton.
I just kind of thinking maybe they're returning to the mean, which is they're a shit club and they play shit. So
harsh man.
They've been bad for a very long time, and then they were good for a year or two. Now they're returning back to the mean. That's what I'm talking about. So, I don't know.
It's tough.
Are they culturally just not a very good club?
Well, we go away to Port Adelaide. If you want to put an end to shit talk like that, maybe you got to go win in Adelaide. And then, the following 2 are Collingwood and Brisbane. So I don't see a world where they win either of those. But... Port haven't been great.
Nope.
So that leads us into, Sydney just were able to go over there last night and win, and Sydney themselves have been struggling a little bit this year.
Yeah, they looked pretty average when they played GWS here. So
Errol Goulden back for the Swans, which was big. I think Joel Armadi kicked 0 goals 6 in this, so it could have been a little bit more. Could have been a bit more of a winning margin for the Swans, but nonetheless they get the win, and that's Carlton's other problem there is there's some good teams, or good teams on paper at least, that are hanging around that 11, 12, 13 that you're going to have to watch out for.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Down, into July and August. So Yeah, mate. A shocking win. We're not talking about the Blues anymore, but it was a shocking loss for them. Yeah, it's Swans, Port Adelaide, Essendon, Melbourne down below Carlton there. So, although Essendon are going the other way.
Yeah.
What else? What else have we had? Collingwood win again. Yay. They're
Who won that GWS? Ooh, that was a close game.
That's all we're going to talk about Collingwood.
Yeah, they win. They beat
Collingwood good.
Yeah, they're still one, aren't they? So yeah, there's Dacos good. Shock.
Have you got some numbers up there?
I can bring some numbers up.
Collingwood game. I'll get some here. Darcy Cameron was pretty good. 2 goals, 28 hit-outs, 19 disposals. Who got the most ball? Yeah, both Dacoses had 30 and a goal for Nick. Water's wet.
Yep. Hence why I moved on to the next one. which was a bit closer. And Suns actually kicked.
Suns had a massive lead in this as well. So GWS, if you can get the tracker up, because I had this on for a little bit and Suns were up big. They had a
79 to 57 there.
They kicked 48 in the first quarter. The Suns 7 goals 6.
Jeez.
Wow, so had at least a 23-point lead there at one stage, and then
Giants kicked 8.
Yeah, Giants have come back. See the kit that the Suns were in? I thought they were West Coast for a second.
I was just about to say that.
Look, blue and yellow. Not really sure.
Channeling the old West Coast.
I don't know what that was for. You see Giants media team? They're funny.
Yeah,
it's like a. What are they calling this? The expansion cup.
Yep.
And they had the old Venn diagram. Teams that have won expansion cup. Giants won because this is the first expansion cup. Everyone else has 17, and no one else is eligible. It's absolute shit dribble. Yellow and blue. What's the yellow and blue for the expansion cup? This is going to be something shit.
Gold Coast Suns unveil the latest piece of its Fearless puzzle, debuting a striking clash Guernsey for the first time Sunday against GWS.
What does it mean? Draws inspiration from the region's famous landscape. The yellow it's the yellow beaches and the blue water is what it must be. There you go.
Sure.
That is literally the next. We're trying to channel these other yellow and blue clubs that are doing so well in Australia right now. The Parramatta Eels and the West Coast Eagles.
That's it.
Historically strong franchises, but there you go. The Giants win the expansion cup. Saw Tom Green pretty good in this. I think Aaron Cadman's actually strung together a few good games, so starting to live up to the expectations. Noah Anderson in a losing game, 42 disposals, 2 goals. He'll go well Brownlow night. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but he'll be top 10.
Couldn't convert the goals.
GWS steadied the ship after that loss in the frozen tundra.
Green playing that one?
Yeah, Toby was back. So I think he missed last week and played today. Yeah,
kick 2. Got 17.
The Orange Tsunami coming back. See, Matt Rowe's committed.
I think they've been
2 more years.
Been a lot of teams very interested in bringing him back southwards. But the reports out of today was he's committed to staying at the Suns for a further 2 years, and they're going to work out the deal in the coming week. So
we'll follow that up next pod, because I imagine he'll be commanding a fair bit of cash money. Pretty handy player. Bulldogs beat Richmond today, 135 to 56. The Bont is back, baby. He'll be getting 3 Brownlow votes without watching a second of this. 36 disposals, 3 goals for Marcus Bontempelli.
Richmond bad shot.
Yeah, and the Bulldogs actually get themselves into the top 8, which I might run through now. Collingwood 6 points clear at the top of the table with 48. Brisbane there after beating Geelong for the first time since YouTube, 42 points there. Geelong in third, 40 points. The Crom in fourth, 36. Then we've got this a few teams here stuck on 36. So Hawthorn 5, Fremantle 6, GWS 7. The Bulldogs round out the top 8 on 32 with their good percentage. Gold Coast in ninth, and then a 8-point jump down to Carlton, Sydney, Port Adelaide, Essendon, all on 24. We keep going down to 14th with Melbourne and then St Kilda on 20. North Melbourne 18, Richmond 12. West Coast will get the spoon, you would think.
How many rounds they got left?
4 points. Yes, I think 8-ish.
Where do you draw the line in the
sand?
Table? Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Who are we putting lines through?
Well, I think statistically, St Kilda and Melbourne could make it. I don't think either of those teams will be playing finals. I think Essendon, the way they've been playing, like they're only 8 points out, but
they're going backwards.
Yeah, geez.
Melbourne just needs to right the ship with their talent.
And we're just talking about Carlton. Their run in the next 3 weeks. You lose all 3 of them, you can put a line through them.
Yep.
I think that's
just on principle, probably.
Yeah, it's getting close to must win next week for the Blues. I think in that, those teams that are there or thereabouts, I think Sydney and Port could probably make a bit of a run up to the 8, realistically, and then Gold Coast are only out of it on percentage.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's 8 points starting to become a bit of a margin, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is.
William 30, thanks for joining us. Good to have you back here, mate. We're going to run into some NBA, I think.
Ben Stokes just got out too.
Nice.
Curry sets, fires, puts it up. Bang!
Should we talk about the sale of the Lakers first? Because this is...
Up to you.
I reckon let's jump straight into it because this is one of the world's biggest sporting franchises.
It is the biggest sale of a sporting franchise in the world.
How much was it?
$10 billion.
Yep. So I said that exactly.
You know what era we grew up in?
You're mini-me, clearly.
Oh, okay. That's not what your missus said.
Holy dooly. Do you want to run us through the story there?
Yes, so the Buss family have been the owners of the Lakers since 1979. I think
Long time.
Yeah, the figure there is they bought the club for $67.5 million, and they've been pushing the Lakers into a massive, international recognized franchise, and one of success as well. So they've had a lot of good talent to go through and play for the Lakers. So I think. Old man Buss died a couple of years ago, and his daughter, Jeannie, had been running the club, but they're now selling the major stake. I think they will retain 15% as minor owners.
Yep, just
Keep that money flowing in.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if they sold 85% or the majority is like a 60% sale, whatever it is. But they sold it to Mark Walter. For the $10 billion, as mentioned.
It's not just him, though. Is there a consortium?
I don't know. He is also the owner of the LA Dodgers, so they're also doing quite well. So
he owns a few sports teams.
Yes. It's not like the NFL where you're not allowed to own other sports teams within America, etc. So he's allowed to own many.
Yeah. So he also owns, has ownership of the Los Angeles Sparks, makes sense. The Cadillac Formula One team, which will come into F1 in a few years' time. He also has
12.7% in Chelsea.
Yeah.
They must have bought in when they had to sell it from the Russian dude.
Yeah.
That is a wealthy individual.
Yeah, how do you make his money?
Guggenheim Partners. He's CEO, global financial services firm.
Okay, so he's a Warren Buffett type.
I don't know. You want to invest in a small up-and-coming Aussie podcast there, Mark Walter?
Yeah. Just whatever falls out of your wallet.
Just
bro,
for
we'll
Dodgers, Lakers, Chelsea, On The Esky.
Yeah.
$1 billion sounds like it's chump change for you.
Yeah, bro. Just buy us for $1 million.
But yes, as you said, it's the biggest deal of a sports franchise ever.
What did it go past?
Well, it depends what you look at recently. I think Denver was
they
six
6 billion?
and something.
Yeah.
Then
That's the Denver Broncos for those players.
Denver
right?
Broncos, that was
Sold to Homer Simpson?
3 or 4 years ago. No, sold to Walmart.
I love how you're like, no, Homer didn't get it.
Yeah, I get a joke. And then I think was it Chelsea then sold after that for like 8 or 9? There was an English Premier team, I think, that sold after that. And then there's this sale, I think, of the big ones. You probably have a look, see if there's a list.
So Lakers 10 billion, Chelsea on that list 5.4. The Commanders they sold recently for 6.
Oh yeah, yes, because they got rid of they changed ownership essentially. Yes.
So
sale.
it's actually smoked any of the recent sales, which is
big time,
which is crazy.
But and
also it's the Lakers, so you'd expect it to.
Yeah, for good reason. Like
you could wear that jersey about anywhere in the world, and people are going to know who that. Kobe Bryant, Shaq.
You might want to. There is a diagram of NBA fan viewership that crosses America, and 80% of America has Lakers fans. Like the states predominantly follow Lakers basketball over everyone else. Where, even like in-state teams, they are by far the biggest NBA team for amount of people interested in it. And one of the reasons why there's all that conspiracy about Adam Silver hooking up the Lakers with making that trade happen. We'll get Luka over as LeBron retires. So they have a major star face in LA. So when they do the next TV deal, they get lots of money.
And then Dallas somehow gets the number one pick off their less than 2% chance in the lottery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
this is all tinfoil hat stuff. Nothing confirmed here, guys. Do your own research.
But back to Luka as well. I think I read a report that he was told that this deal was going to happen before it was announced to anyone else. So they've obviously
it's been in the works for some time.
Yeah, Luka's going to be like the face.
The face. He's the face of the franchise. That's
face of the $10 billion franchise.
Yeah.
Watch this space in the Luka era. Unless LeBron plays to 50, which the way he's going, who knows?
Maybe. Could do, yeah.
Should we talk about the NBA Finals?
Yes.
We've got a game
tomorrow.
Maybe.
Game 7. How crazy. This Pacers team just will not go away.
They sold their souls to the devil, bro.
Oh, bro. But they're playing the best team basketball. Like we're talking about who's going to be the MVP. It's statistically, if the Pacers win, it should be Pascal Siakam, unless Hallie goes crazy. But there's a chance that TJ McConnell or Obi Toppin could be the MVP. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying there's a chance.
Harley also dealing with a bit of
calf strain.
Yeah,
but it didn't seem to slow him too much in Game 6, which they really blew out and won pretty handedly.
Yeah, it really helps, ref chat when SGA doesn't get free throws.
You love talking about your refs and umpires, don't you?
He does get a lot of free throws.
I'm just bringing it up. He didn't get many in that Game 6, that's for sure.
That's for sure. He's been real good for them as well. Jalen Williams. I think I sent the odds in the group chat.
Who won the Eastern? No, was they Eastern? Who won the conference award for the Pacers? Because they give out like the best for that series.
Siakam did.
Siakam.
Yeah, and they had the Hallie being surprised that
So
it wasn't him.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was actually going back as well. Can someone from a losing team win it? Historically, no.
Okay.
So, say the Pacers win tomorrow, which is a tall ask in OKC because OKC home court advantage is very strong. But I was going back through year by year. It's pretty much the MVP is always on the winning team.
You think Thunder would win? It's got to be SGA.
Yeah, he's $1.36, I think, regardless.
But if the Pacers win, it's a different kind of conversation.
Yeah, it's fun if the Pacers win. Imagine if Hallie hits another game winner. He's had 3, I think, in the NBA playoffs this year, and he had that big one in Game 1, I think it was. 10 a.m., I think, our time, Sunday night over there. Geez, they'll be viewed, I'd imagine. We've spoken about how bad the viewership has been for the NBA in season. I can imagine a Game 7 on a Sunday night, when there's no football for it to compete with. And the Stanley Cup's also finished.
Just finished, yep.
I think they'll get a few eyeballs.
Yep.
Just a few.
Who do you think?
Heart says Pacers, head says Thunder. Thunder have dropped, I think, 2 games. Maybe it's 3 now at home in the postseason. If you get some odds for us, Monks, I think they'll probably be less than $1.40, I would say, to win. But it's a game of basketball. Anything can happen. And just the fact that the Pacers play such fun team basketball and have got no clear, number one. Obviously, Siakam and Halliburton pretty handy, but they get they get good minutes off their bench. I think Miles Turner is probably a top 10 center in the league. I think Nemhard and Naismith, do good with the catch and shoot. Both shooting well over 40% from the perimeter this finals. I think they're a fun team, and Halliburton is a superstar. I think Pascal Siakam, you could probably say is a superstar, but I think we said when the playoffs started, it might be one of the more sort of vanilla rosters if they go deep, and they won't go away, will they?
No, definitely not.
For me, the Thunder as well are going to be good for a number of years.
Yeah.
SGA is young. Jalen Williams is young. Chet Holmgren is young. They're loaded with draft picks over the next 2 years.
Yeah,
I think if they lose tomorrow, it's hard to win championships, but I could certainly see them winning one, whereas I think the Pacers are really in their window right now. Yeah. Siakam's not getting any younger. Miles Turner's not getting any younger.
I mean, even just in terms of the season, like, would not have expected the Pacers to even... Yeah.
For 8 months, we spoke about the Celtics and the Cavs playing each other in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we didn't see either of them. I think it's fun. I think it's fun that we're going to see a first-time winner. The Thunder, obviously, Seattle Supersonics moved over to OKC. The Seattle, they won one as a Supersonics like 50 years ago. But the Thunder have never won one as a Thunder, and the Pacers have never won one. So it's kind of fun, both small market teams. Does break it up from, the sort of carousel of Warriors and sprinkle a little bit of Lakers and Spurs and Heat over the last 20 years, really.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I did find an answer for viewership. Unfortunately, it's not as good as you would hope. Through 5 games, the NBL Finals is now averaging 9.18 million viewers on ABC, down 19% from last year's full 5-game average of 11.3 million.
That's crazy.
And least watched finals at the point of this series since the bubble.
So
is that because the market for these two teams is just
so small? I think it's
fun. Like I'm enjoying it, but
I think that's what it is. But like, because you think about like when the Celtics were in there last year, and their market is huge.
I'm not sure if Game 6 like bumped it up, but they're averaging under 10 mil,
that's so American.
Which is lower. So,
so American. Like, it's a good series. We're getting a Game 7, but it's 2 small franchises. So we don't give a fuck. Interesting. What about you boys? You reckon Thunder be too strong at home, or it's a game? It could be a coin flip.
Want the Harley band to win, so get in there for the Pacers.
Yeah. No, same. Like, head says Thunder, heart says Pacers. Yep. It'd be cool to see some aura farming. Either way, no blowout would be nice.
Yeah, a good close competitive game that goes down to late winner would be excellent.
Yeah. I mean, that's been pretty representative of the whole series as well.
Yeah.
There might have been one game where...
There's been a couple, and the most recent one.
Game 6,
Yeah.
But they haven't been like the Cavs Heat series.
Yes.
It was like 40 points every night.
Yeah.
That's in about 12 hours, let's call it. So that will conclude the NBA season. We'll talk about that next pod.
Yeah.
Should we go into a final round?
Final round.
Excuse me while I try not to break some copyright stuff here.
No more than 10 seconds.
The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here.
There's 7 seconds of John Jones walkout music. It is official. John Jones, arguably the GOAT of mixed martial arts, has retired as of today, fresh off the press on the Esky. That's where you get your sporting news. Shorto, you want to run us through some of the accolades here for John Bones Jones?
Yeah, well, like you said, it was a bit of an inconspicuous retirement because Dana White did it in the press conference post of UFC Fight Night today, which is not a big send-off, as you will, compared to retiring in the ring, etc. after retaining a belt, for example. But John Jones does retire. He has 16 wins in UFC title fights. He's the youngest UFC champion of all time at 23. Does have a 20-fight unbeaten streak as well. 2-division UFC champ for light heavyweight and heavyweight. 22 career wins in UFC, 5th most all time. I think... Did they actually change his disqualification to Matt Hamill to no contest?
Yeah, they did change that.
Is he undefeated?
I think you can call him undefeated, yeah.
So retires as undefeated as well. And
for our more casual guys, that was a downward elbow where you're not allowed to do it. So they put it down
at the time. Yes.
Yeah, they put it down as a loss, and then it got changed well after.
Once the rules are kind of changed, and they're like, that was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
In a fight, he was handily winning, and it was late in the 3rd round, I believe, as well. So,
although it's still on his wiki, it still shows as a loss.
Loss illegal. Maybe they didn't overturn it.
Maybe not. His wiki says
silver.
He says 30 matches, 28, 1-1, with 1 no contest against DC. But the Matt Hamill one is still a loss.
Yeah,
well, he didn't lose the fight.
Yeah, and he won that fight against DC as well, and that was when he had the what was it, not the Picos, but the whatever the thing was he was pulsing.
Stripped of title after he tested positive for a turonabol metabolite.
Yeah.
Metabolite.
Yeah, the grain of rice in a pool kind of analogy. I think is what they talked about. But anyway, never been knocked down in his MMA career, and retires arguably the GOAT. Probably has a few more asterisks than say GSP does, but for the big boys, there's no doubt. Like there isn't a better light heavyweight. I think they're going around that you could argue against his resume and his length of time as being a two-division champ in those two. It's a bit harder for the bigger boys as well, knowing that any shot can end a fight kind of thing. So it's pretty impressive overall record, I think there.
I've just live asked ChatGPT who is the best MMA fighter of all time. The number one that comes up, according to ChatGPT, is John Jones. Considered by many as the most skilled and complete fighter, has dominated UFC's light heavyweight division for years. The asterisk, as you alluded to, ChatGPT is all over it. Career marred by personal issues and controversies, including failed drug tests and legal issues. So we just went back to the no contest against DC, where some sort of metabolite showed up, and then we alluded to the disqualification before, but lots of out of the octagon stuff as well.
Yep.
For me, you shouldn't. Like, that shouldn't taint his rep. Like, when I look at an athlete, you look at them.
Take the
Take
personal away from the
exactly.
sport.
Yeah, when we're talking about who they are as an athlete, the DUIs and hit and runs and whatever.
I think the drug
happen.
tests
That's different because that's performance enhancing.
Yeah, that's the main asterisk.
Yeah, you can put that asterisk in there, but you can't put the personal life stuff in there.
Similar like Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Like if you're looking at Mike Tyson, his personal life was a fucking
but his record is excellent.
Yeah, but when people talk about Mike Tyson, and obviously a bit before our time, but when they talk about Tyson in the late 80s, early 90s, like the man was God.
Yeah, I think that's it as well. It's time. Like, you might look at John Jones now and like what's happened outside the ring, the controversy now, like a bit distasteful, but then in like 10 years time, 15 years time, you'll just look at his career and it'll be like, like you look at Mike Tyson now.
Might add to his legacy.
Yeah. And the fact that you got GSP number 2 there, the most clean cut guy you can imagine.
Polar opposites.
Absolute polar opposites. And another 2 divisional champ, won everything you can imagine, came back from a long layoff as well. He did an ACL once, maybe he did an ACL twice. So, as well throughout his career. It's hard point. Like for me, they're 1 and 2.
Why does Khabib not come in the conversation for you? Is it the early retirement?
Yeah, early retirement. Didn't beat enough top talent and didn't last long enough. Yes, he's still beat everyone that put in front of him, a good record. But you look at the lightweight divisions and you look at, say, Islam's record at the moment and who he's fought, it's a different resume than what Khabib put together.
Gun to your head, you got to pick a GOAT.
I'd pick GSP.
I'd pick John Jones. Monks, you might have the casting vote here.
Ooh.
This is hard. I'm putting you on the spot like Trump putting Juventus on the spot.
Yeah, that's it.
Do your own research. Pretty funny.
I mean, you say longevity of Khabib. Like, GSP didn't have that much of a longer career himself.
Have you got GSP's
but GSP didn't end on
credentials
the
up
top.
there?
True. And he fought the who's who of everyone in his division.
He had 28 fights, 26 wins.
2 losses.
2 losses.
Shawnee, do you know the losses off the top of your head?
We lost to Matt Serra.
Yeah.
Which was one of the biggest upsides ever, and then he came back and dominated in the rematch. The other one
early in his career, Matt Hughes.
Matt Hughes,
You got to go back to 2004.
And Matt Hughes, the Hall of Famer in his own right for the UFC, and Matt Hughes was he champion at the time?
That was for the belt.
For the vacant belt,
Vacant belt, yes. So
can you scroll up after that Matt Serra loss? How did GSP finish his career? So this is...
fought BJ Penn a couple times.
There's definitely an argument here, isn't there?
Yeah, the name value was impressive.
Yeah. What's the streak
10,
there?
11, 12, 13.
13?
13 run.
13-0. So that's from 2007 to... When did he retire? 2007 to 10 years undefeated.
Yep.
Maybe it's not so cut and dry. And with clean cut, 0 asterisks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then 2 divisions.
Moved up a division and then
which
beat
Jones has
Brisbane
just done.
for a title. So
that's it. Yeah.
Get at us in the comments.
it's a good
Definitely.
conversation. It's a fun conversation.
I mean, yeah, you just look at that list. So you got Khabib and you got Anderson
And
Silva
Silva.
right next to him there as well.
Yeah, and he's dominant right in the middleweight. Again,
Yep.
ended with an asterisk for the dick pills, but he was still
And fought way too long past his prime.
Yeah,
And had some
yeah.
losses at the end.
yes.
Yeah.
But for his legacy is the front of
Prime Anderson Silva.
Yeah, we'll say
Yeah.
it was 16 consecutive victories for him.
Yeah, the title defense is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, another one.
7 years holding the belt. Get at us. What do you reckon? This is a segment about John Jones. What's next for John Jones? You reckon he does some acting? You reckon he's going to be involved in commentary?
I wonder if the weight was potentially an issue, like keeping the weight on, because he's not naturally a 250 kind of guy. He's like 230, and he looks like he's been traveling lots by all the socials. He seems to be having a good time, and maybe some of that weight's been coming off, which is another reason he turned down the supposed $40 million for this Aspinall fight.
Is that how much had been rumoured?
Rumored, yeah, like he asked for 20, and I think they'd pushed it up so far. And you'll see, it's just like, yeah, and just whatever he asked for, they said yet to.
Craziness.
But in the end, I just don't think he was that interested. Honestly, he's getting up there, and he's done everything he needed to do. His legacy is cemented. Why risk it? So, I think he's got more fun things to do. And in his retirement post, he was talking about, I'd be interested to see what I can do in the MMA space. So whether that's in a coaching thing or whatever, but yeah, he's a recognisable face. He can do whatever he wants, really.
How do you... how's your take on the ducking Tom Aspinall? Like, do you know, like you said, he's got a lot to lose if he does go out there and get knocked out.
Like, it was the fight was there. I just don't think he was interested in it, honestly. So it's like he didn't get enough for it. And you can't blame a bloke for it. He was just like, was he 37 now?
I think he's at 89 vintage off the top of my head.
Yeah, so he's just like, I've had enough. I've done everything.
87 vintage.
Yeah, he's even older. So he doesn't need to do anything more. So I don't think he can say, like, it was the fight to make. He was going to fight again. That would be it. But I don't think he can say he's ducking by the fact that he's just like, I'm just not interested. I'm going to retire. So, and which by all accounts I think was the reasoning. And no matter how much money you could throw at him, he just had no interest in it. So, yeah, he was done with the sport.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Like,
I think we were probably lucky he even came back to do heavyweight. Like, he had that time off. I think he kind of enjoyed the break and.
How good was he putting that?
Yeah.
In that Stipe fight, like
and the Garn fight as well. Just walked through him and it was
having
like,
not fought. Yeah,
and that's also coming off.
years.
Did he tore his bicep before Stipe as well?
Pec maybe.
Yeah. Sorry, yes, yeah.
I think it was
the
a pec, yeah.
yes.
Which
And-
makes sense when you probably lifting
all the time,
crazy
yeah.
loads. Yeah.
And then spend 9 months plus off that, and come back and beat Stipe. Like, I can see the reason again is like, I don't want to train, I don't want to get hurt again, and I'm old. That's it.
that's it. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much money you're getting paid. You just don't want to get hit in the head again.
Yeah.
So they've announced that Aspinall just becomes the champ. He's not an interim. He's the champ.
Yeah, so John Jones vacates, and they've made Tom Aspinall the heavyweight champion now, official.
And they will try and line up a fight for him, whether that's...
Yeah, he said he wants to be active. He wants to make the heavyweight division active again, considering it essentially has been quiet.
It's been pretty dead, hasn't it?
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but it's just the state of where it's at.
Yeah. Well, they gave him the time to go and put on all the weight and come up. And that's something, again, we didn't want to get into a weight division discussion, but it's going to happen inadvertently. There has to be something between light heavyweight and... like,
At some point, yeah.
Like 205 to 265 is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, boxing's got 230, I think.
Have some, something at 230.
Yeah.
Like, that to me makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but a lot of those 230 dudes are now cutting to 205, so that's what Alex Pereira does.
I don't know.
Yeah.
60 pounds just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a big difference compared to the others.
Or get something there at 230, 240, and then have an unlimited.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to try it to fight at 290, 300 and have the power, probably not going to have any speed, but if they want to try, they can try. That's always been funny for me that they've had a cap at 265 because the guys like Ngannou with his frame where he probably,
Well, wasn't he 280 for Anthony Joshua? So
yeah. And look at the NFL. There's guys that can
be 300 plus.
That can be 300, and it would be interesting to see, especially the power.
How heavy was Butterbean? You check that out.
Would have been big. I think there has to be.
Actually, Andy Rodriguez, I think, was over 300.
Yeah, I think.
Fights, so.
And I'm not saying that they need to bring in a limitless division, but I definitely think there needs to be something to bridge the gap between 205 and 265.
Yeah. Been on chat for a long time, but the UFC's got plenty of fighters as it is, and they don't want to deal with it. So what do we think for Tom Aspel going forward?
Yeah, let me look.
I've checked that the rankings is Gan, Volkov are next on the list. And then...
Have either of them got fights?
I don't know, but neither of them have fought Aspinall before, whereas I believe the two after them, so Curtis Blades and Sergey, both have losses to Aspinall already. So I feel like it's going to be one of those two. But since Garn actually has a win over Volkov recently,
him.
Yeah,
I think he's higher up.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There is the joke about how Garn had actually ducked Aspinall by taking a movie contract and not actually taking a fight with Aspinall as he was coming up. There's some of that rhetoric, but I think if it's for a belt, it's a different conversation. So yeah, we'll see how that kind of plays.
And none of them have fights. So the highest ranked opponent with a fight upcoming is Sergey Pavlicic, who is going to fight Waldo Cortez Acosta at.
And Curtis Blade fought today.
He fought today and won.
Yes, and won.
Okay. I like that Almeida. He looks cool. He's 22-3, and then that Waldo Cortez Acosta is 14-1. So that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on. That's 4 versus 7 in the heavyweights.
I'm just trying to see if
anyone know what flag that is. That's
which one?
This one here. Dominican Republic. There you go.
I believe. Thought Usman's older brother was fighting today.
See if you can find that.
He did. Muhammad Usman, who's a heavyweight, he also won. But I don't know where he's ranked. He's massive.
Okay.
He's not actually ranked.
He's not in the top 15 for now.
Win.
Keep an eye on it. The heavyweight division, in some ways, is going to get a lot more interesting.
It starts to heat up again because they've had some big names go through it, some really fun fights. But it seems to have quieted down, and light heavyweigh's kind of taken over that conversation.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Between them giving John Jones time to put on the weight and Aspinall doing his ACL, it's been pretty dead, hasn't it?
Yeah, and then follow that with John Jones doing his pec, and it's been a pretty quiet, slow division of late. Needs to heat back up, get back to where like middleweight and to light heavyweight, even welterweight. Those divisions are all got fun fights and things turning over.
Yeah, everything, everything in the middle. Is sick at the moment. John Jones, we'll miss watching you in the octagon. We'll look forward to seeing what you do next, whether that's coaching, whether that's acting, whether that's podcasting, whether that's just enjoying your life. We'll see. And arguably the greatest fighter of all time, I've got him as my GOAT. Should we talk some F1 to finish off?
Just that fight night today. It was headlined by Hill versus Roundtree, which light heavyweight was interesting. Roundtree wins a decision in that going the full 5 rounds. He had multiple knockdowns of Hill. And by all accounts, dominated the entire fight. What was funny was Hill reacted to the decision like it was a surprise, like he thought he won. But he got smoked. I saw after round 3, people were saying things like throw the towel, and he's getting dominated. So round 3 with a pretty impressive victory, which will again push him back into that conversation for a title chance. But I think there's been some talk about line him up against Yuri Prohaska for maybe like a title fight eliminator kind of thing, which would be fun because those two have never fought before.
He's got an interesting story, Khalil Roundtree. I think he's pretty similar to Alex Pereira in that had gotten himself into the depths of substance abuse and stuff early in his life, and then sort of found fighting.
His father was shot and killed earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Death in the family. Bit lost, and then found fighting and got himself on the straight and narrow, and now a contender for being a world champ.
I believe he was a really big boy as well.
Yeah, I think
he's actually lost a lot of weight.
I think coming back to blokes walking around at 300, I think he was a fat 300.
You got to wait on Butterbean for me, by the way.
Yeah, you had him up there before.
It was 171 kilos.
Jesus,
Yeah,
that is big. That's
well,
like 400 pounds.
That's 300 and something.
That's close to 400. I'll give you some
2.25.
Yeah, 2.25. Let's give you some live quick maths.
Yeah, that's close.
385. It's a big boy.
A very big boy.
Yep.
That'll do us for fights.
Yes.
All right,
Finish with some F1.
let's talk some F1.
Sebastian Vettel.
The Canadian Grand Prix was last week. Shauno, how did that play out?
Pretty interesting with the Mercedes resurgence after I think we said on the last pod they're done, like they're kind of just hanging about, but they're not really pushing. They finished 1 and 3. So George Russell won the Canadian GP with he started from pole as well, so I think he went from start to finish. And Kimi for his first podium finished Kimi Antonelli finished 3rd, so pretty impressive for him. Get some big points for Mercedes as they again try to push the likes of Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren. Max, yep.
I was just going to say that's really impressive for Andrea Kimi Antonelli because his last 3 races crashed out, 18th, crashed out.
Yeah, yep.
So to get it on a podium, pretty impressive. He had come 4th at the
Australia.
in Melbourne at the start of the year, and then hasn't really been close to it since then.
Yeah, he's been scoring points, been sixes a lot. So it was good to see him. I guess get his first podium. He's pretty young, I think, at the time. I think that was. He's 18.
He's 18.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, turns 19 in a month. A month and a bit, sorry. Max finished 2nd, get some good points. The big talking point, though, is to do with Oscar and Lando. Oscar did finish 4th. Lando did not finish the race.
18th.
18th. I'm surprised they didn't give him retirement because considering he ran up the back of Oscar and then into the wall, and with about 3 laps to go, that car did not finish. They finished behind the safety car after that, so there was no running to finish the end of that race. Lando was making some pace. We've had a papaya incident, as you will. Oscar had some good lines, and Lando kind of probably diving in deep in some spots, but then tried to move that didn't work, went to a side that didn't have the space, and he didn't realise his mistake until too late, and then lost his front wing, lost the car, and then ended up in the wall. Oscar luckily doesn't retire out of this and finishes and gets some good points, which will separate him from Lando, give him a bit of a lead in the title in the Drivers' Championship, but Max closes the distance overall. Monks, did you see the incident? What do you think about this McLaren infighting, as you will?
Yeah. I think Lando's just putting too much pressure on himself. Like at the start of the season, he was obviously going to be the number 1 driver.
Well, he's worried.
Oscar's
already got more wins than he does for McLaren. So when does the team make the decision to put their biscuits in one basket? Has been the question. I've been pretty. I think I've said multiple times. I don't think Lando just doesn't have it to be a world champion, and I think Oscar is kind of proving that he's just better. Unfortunately, I think general pace, like in moments in races, Lando's faster, but overall race pace for a whole GP, I just think Oscar's just better at managing it, and that's why I think he's managed himself into some more wins than Lando has throughout his career. Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, I mean, obviously Oscar's winning the championship for a reason. Lando Science, Lando's had a couple of running mates, and the team has been building over the last few years. Yep. So you'd think now's the time where the car should be built for Lando.
Yeah, should be separating himself.
They're obviously right up there in terms of the construction championship and competing for that. So I don't know what's Lando's gap at the moment.
He seems to just lack something. I don't understand.
Yeah, and again, it could just be he's putting too much pressure on himself to make sure that he's racing to beat Oscar rather than just his normal, probably free flowing, just fun kind of driving style that he used to have.
Is that going to be the biggest story for the back end of the F1 now because I was looking at the constructors. The McLarens are 175 points ahead of Mercedes.
There is a lot of races, but I think McLaren's
they
definitely
really should win it.
should win the constructors.
So it's going to be these two going at it head to head.
Yeah, it was interesting. The Mercedes actually leapfrogged Ferrari as well with that win that 1-3, so they go into second place. I think I did say it was Lando, Oscar, and Max, and they kind of separated themselves from everyone. And George really wasn't in the conversation. I think this win kind of brings him back into it a little bit. I think they've now separated themselves from Charles Leclerc, so it's probably those four with a chance. But of course, Oscar and Lando are ahead significantly over the other two. So it could very well be the story for a lot of the remainder of the season is who is doing better for McLaren.
Yeah, you have a look at it. That's the first race where a McLaren driver hasn't won any points.
Yeah.
Gotten any points. And that has to be the deciding factor. If those two are at the top of the table towards the end of the year.
That's the first time that they haven't podiumed.
Yeah.
They still got the points.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, one or the other drivers. Yeah, no, see what you've got there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that could be the gap. Like obviously, obviously Oscar has been winning.
We're back on our boy, of course.
Of course, yeah. We're going to have
we'll be biased here,
especially if it's a pom.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's it.
But what's Red Bull's problem this year? They seem to be a step back from where they have been.
The bigger issue is they don't have a number 2 driver.
Yeah, okay.
Like Max is still dominant. He's won 2 races. He's finished second a bunch. He's finished in the top 5 for most of those races. It's just he doesn't have anyone.
No running mate.
And, they started with Lawson. He didn't really have a great job. Yuki came in, and I think he had 2 10s to get points, but he's 17, 13, and 12 hasn't been good. Like the setup has very much been like it's a Max car, and they haven't really found a young driver to fit in there. I think they kind of missed the boat. They probably should have put Ricciardo in that car last year and seen what he was capable of. Being a guy that had been in the system and had driven in that car in the past. That with Max, very early in his career, but might have been able to get more out of it than the young fellas who have so far struggled.
Well, even in their second team, they've been struggling more than I thought.
Their team overall's been better actually than they have been in recent years. Like they're usually down in the order. They're actually 7th out of the 10, with Alpine kind of stinking up the gaff at the moment. But that second Red Bull seat is like the Cleveland Browns of quarterbacks. So it's you go there to die essentially. You go there for your career to hit a massive road bump, and then you get demoted. You
go there to be Max's bitch.
Exactly. So that is the challenge with that seat. And when Max is, maybe the car's not doing as well as it should be. Maybe it's a reflection more on Max is just driving the wheels off it and making Red Bull competitive. Yeah,
I mean long term as well. Like they've obviously got all the new regulation changes and stuff like that, so they might just be saying they obviously want to keep Max around for as long as possible. But
there's been a lot of talk about Mercedes again and the rumours of that, and a lot of talk about Lance Stroll getting booted at Aston Martin as well. So it's and we've got Cadillac's coming in as well. So there's going to be
that's next season.
So
who drops out?
No one. They added. It's another team.
They're going to have 22.
Yeah. I think they used to race with 26. I think was the most they ever had.
Yeah.
As the teams have dropped off, they've kind of stayed with this 10-team format. But get Cadillac back.
The money involved with it. But for Red Bull, it's probably like, not that I'm saying that they're not developing the car, but it's probably like they've got a car in a good space, like
suits Max.
Suits Max. Yeah. It has been historically been performing great. With the change in engines, with the change in the regulations, they probably want to start putting their money.
Yeah, most of the team have been focusing on 2026. I think some of the team, they've been doing upgrades as they're in the season, just trying to improve things. But there's a big focus on next year's setups and next year's cars. So it's a great chance for someone like McLaren, who on the back end of last year became more dominant and then have rolled their dominance into this season, and to capitalise that on to have a world champion this year.
When you look at Williams and Haas as well, like they're performing better than Red Bull.
Yep.
Austin Martin has had that slide down, as has Alpine. It's like, there's been, interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting old competition, as you will. But with another 10 races still to go.
Yeah, maybe more.
With
5, 6,
Austria
7,
up
8,
next
9,
being
10,
next
14.
weekend. 14 races, yeah. Like,
Yep.
not even. I don't think
Not
that's
even halfway.
So yeah, there's a lot still. to happen.
Speaking of Red Bull, the next Grand Prix will be at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. That's next weekend.
Next
is that
weekend?
Right?
Yep.
So they've got a weekend off.
Yes.
Mm.
Jimmy threw some extra notes in there. Not the 254 hours of Le Mans, but the 24 hours of Le Mans was run.
254.
Yeah, Ferrari win for the third time in a row. They finished Porsche finished second with Robert Kubiak was one of the main drivers for, former F1 driver for Ferrari there. So they get that win. They were running 1 through 3 for a lot of the race, and then one of the cars, I think it was a 51 car, got disqualified because it was missing a single bolt in its rear wing. But by all reports, it could flex a lot, breaking rules, etc., regulations. So it sucks to race for full 24 hours and finish, like third or fourth, and then get disqualified. But Ferrari, very dominant in that. What was more interesting, I think, was the GT race in that, which is more your production cars. I can't remember. I don't think Ferrari won that. I think a Porsche won that from memory for the GT series.
I should have that
GT3
here as well, somewhere as well.
TF Sport.
Drivers' Championships. No, that's just talking about the Corvette running in it as well. Because that's the actual production cars going back to the old form of Le Mans.
That GT3 there.
Matthew Team Racing. What was he driving? Was the question.
Yeah, it was a Porsche.
Porsche. Yeah, he was driving a Porsche. So Porsche winning the GT version of Le Mans. And then finishing up with a Kiwi / let's claim as Australian. Shane Van Gisbergen gets his second win in NASCAR. They go to the Mexico circuit, which is the same circuit that the F1 races on. It has the stadium that they can drive through. Add right turns to a NASCAR race, and Shane Van Gisbergen comes alive. He won by just under 17 seconds for a dominant victory. They will race tomorrow morning as well. They have 4 street circuit races. So this team that's put Shane Van Gisbergen in the Cup series is very much built around the fact that they want him to win these road course races, because I believe with this win, that will mean he can enter the NASCAR playoffs. Win and get in, I think, is how it works. That's how you kind of lock yourself into a position. There's a whole bunch of standings in points. I think he's like 20th in points at the moment, so he's fair way down. But outside of that, getting the win puts him there. Post-race, they were asking him about, what is he looking forward? And he literally said, I'm looking forward to those races with the right turns. Did a massive burnout after this, and it was a pretty good race.
Geez, they have some races in NASCAR.
Oh, yeah, they have a lot of races. There's
36.
Yeah, before they even get to the playoffs. No, so they have 26 before they
26
start
and then
around
into the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's 36 total.
Yeah. And it doesn't start to August. And they've started did they start in February? When the season starts? Yeah. Starts in February, finishes in
November.
So a long
Whole year,
season.
pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very interesting sort of sport, especially with someone like SVG kind of pushing his way in there. Actually getting some wins in there might actually be a part of the round of 16 for NASCAR.
Unfortunately, if you ain't first, you're last. You can be second, third, fourth. Hell, you can even be fifth. I was high when I said that. Shout out if you haven't seen that movie, Talladega Nights.
Good movie.
Is that it? For the
Yes, I
potty?
think that's
I
it.
think that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's
No late news.
That's motorsport.
Update on the cricket or?
Yeah, may as well. England, 5 for 318. Harry
Stabilised a
Brook.
bit.
Harry Brook is good at cricket. It pains me to say, but that's a true statement. He's on 53 not, and they're only, 150 behind now.
Yes, 151. I think it was 153. There you go.
There we go.
to
So
152.
game on. It is a road at Headingley. And yeah, maybe that little collapse from the Indian middle and bottom order might come back to hurt them. Although, at 3 for 320, they were 3 for 420 yesterday. So who knows if they can take a few and
Just need a good session.
yeah, you never
Yeah.
know. You never
That's
know.
it.
Next fortnight, we'll wrap up the NBA Finals. We've got our Game 7 tomorrow. We will be right before Game 3 of State of Origin. And we'll talk about the first test between
the second
Australia and West
test?
Indies. We might be around about the second test.
Yep.
Yeah, plenty to talk about. As always, we'll have
Lots of sport.
lots of footy this time of the year. Down under, we're not getting too far away from NFL, one of our favourite sports.
No, yeah.
Yes.
Plenty to talk about, as always, in
fantasy football coming
the
up.
sporting world. This is On The Esky. Thanks for listening. If you're catching us for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. Check out the socials and the like. We'll probably be back in about 2 weeks' time with another episode of the podcast. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.